Hey YouTubers, welcome back to my 12 Days of Christmas series with the Pott'd Advent Calendar. We are almost at the halfway mark. Today is day 6 of making these clay creations and I'm a little bit tired of it, but I'm going to persist and keep going. So each window here has a little QR code which links to a YouTube tutorial video on a different clay project. So let's see what is behind door number 6 today. Okay, I seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties with opening door number 6. All the other doors have opened quite easily here, so I really don't know what's happening. Can a knife do it? It's really stuck there. Okay, so it seems like door number 6 was, I don't know, maybe glued down a little bit. The cardboard is completely stuck to the QR code and it is impossible to scan. Fortunately, though, if you do scan one of the other QR codes, it takes you through to the YouTube tutorial video, which then has a list of all of the other videos and you can scroll down to different days. So I'm going to do that instead. Okay, so I've navigated to day 6 on the chapter list here. And I'll wait for it to load. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's a gingerbread house. Cute. Okay, that is actually pretty adorable. Okay, to make this gingerbread house, you need the stencil pieces cut out, the potted super clay, rolling pin, and a knife. There's also a piece of wire that comes with it to pop in the end. So I think this is actually a hanging ornament for the Christmas tree, which is pretty cute. So let's get into it. Okay, so the tutorial said to use 3/5 of your remaining clay. I think I had maybe like a quarter left. And as I was pulling this out, I've kind of had a feeling that maybe I wasn't going to have enough clay. I grabbed out 3/5 of it and I really didn't think it was going to be enough because you have to make 2 of each stencil piece. So I ended up grabbing all of my clay that I had left and rolling it out to cut out my pieces. Now I don't know if this was because I had been using a bit too much clay in my other projects. I think I definitely used too much clay with making the Christmas tree, but the other ornaments that I've made so far, the tea candle holder and the gingerbread man, I don't think that I used too much clay, so I was a little bit concerned to see that I didn't have enough clay, particularly because there is actually still one more stencil, so there's going to be one more item to make out of clay. So I'm rolling all of the clay that I have left out, and as I'm doing this, I'm noticing that my piece of clay is a little bit thinner than the clay pictured in the YouTube tutorial to make this. I persevered though and cut out my stencils, so I did have enough to cut out 2 sets of A, B and C with the clay that I had. Okay, so here I am trying to put it together. Now basically you have to put the whole thing together in one go because it needs to all dry together. As you can see, my piece of clay is quite thin. So the first step is to attach the side walls, and you need to use a little bit of water to do that. As I was doing this, I noticed that my clay, because it was so thin, was actually really quite thin, flimsy, and I was becoming increasingly concerned that I was not actually going to be able to build this house with my clay being so thin. I persevered though and managed to get all of my 4 walls together, as flimsy as they were, and then proceeded on to trying to make the roof. Putting the roof together, my pieces of clay on the roof started bowing inwards, and initially it looked okay, but then the final step is you have to put another piece of clay on the top in the middle and blend it all together. And when I started to do this, my roof started to dip in even more. So I tried picking my house up just to see if I could push the roof back, out to stop it from bending, and honestly, as I did this, the entire thing just fell to pieces. And yeah, the as you can see, my clay pieces are so thin and flimsy, there was no way they were going to hold together. I attempted to put it back together a second time just to see if maybe I could fluke it, I don't know, get it good. But the reality was my pieces were too thin and there was no way this house was going to be able to support itself structurally. I really didn't want to give up those, so I went to my local craft shop and actually bought some more clay. So I bought this air dry clay, which similar dries in 24 to 48 hours. This color is terracotta, so it is a little bit darker than the potted clay that comes with the kit. However, it felt exactly the same to work with, the exact same texture and consistency and softness. So I couldn't really tell the difference that I was working with a different type of clay. The only difference was the color. And to be honest with you, it actually looks a little bit more like gingerbread, so maybe I won't even need to paint it that much. I made a point of intentionally rolling this clay out thicker, and I actually overall used probably more than half this bag of clay. So my final pieces might be a tiny bit thicker than the YouTube tutorial, but I really didn't want it to fall apart. I wanted it to be able to support itself structurally. Putting this house together felt a lot easier than the first time because the clay was much thicker. It felt a lot more stable and like it could support itself, and it definitely was able to sit up without moving like the first go I had. I spent a really long time trying to smooth it all out and get it looking nice because I wanted this to be my final product. I didn't want to have to make it again, and I used a combination of my fingers, the brush with a little bit of water to get the side bits all smoothed together so it was one uniform shape. Unfortunately, because I had made it a bit thicker, when I went to go put the roof on, the roof was a tad bit too small. I probably could have rolled out a piece and made it a bit bigger, but I didn't. I just went with it and tried my best to blend the roof on top of the house. And I'm pleased to say the roof didn't bow in and the house walls didn't bow in, and it kind of kept its shape as I was blending it all together. So the final step, once the house is all smoothed out, is to get the wire piece, curl it into a hook and insert it into the roof. I nearly forgot to do this, so I don't have this on camera because I remembered like maybe an hour later. Luckily the clay was still soft enough, so you're supposed to poke the wire into the roof and let it set with the wire in there. I suspect I may need to secure that with glue, but anyway, I was able to then pick this house up after it was done, so it was stable enough to move around and set aside to dry. I think this is probably going to take the full 48 hours to dry, so hopefully finishing this off won't be for a few days. Man, so my advice with this is to make sure that your clay pieces are nice and thick. Now, I don't know if I used too much clay on my other projects all up, and this is why I didn't have enough clay to make this house, or if the amount of clay provided in this advent calendar is just not enough to make all of these projects. I can't really say. It's so hard to judge how much clay you're taking from the bag when you're making the projects, but I definitely did not have enough clay to make this house. I think the amount of clay that I have left in my potted bag is enough to make the final thing. I'm pretty confident, but if it isn't, I do have some clay left over from this extra clay that I bought. If you like this video and you want to see the rest of my advent calendar series or any of my other craft videos, please be sure to hit the thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you taking the time.